Welcome. Have you ever felt that a quiet house feels heavy with things left unsaid? Or that a single dismissive comment from someone you love can make you feel suddenly invisible? In our busy world, it is common to feel we have lost control over our own tranquility. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that we have power over our minds, not outside events. He believed that when we realize this, we find our true strength. Consider a brief illustration of a .com person waiting for a phone call that never comes. One can choose to feel forgotten, or one can choose to see that silence as a gift of peace. That choice is your anchor. This video explains a simple principle called the Stoic Anchor Protocol, and a practice you can use today. I invite you to listen to the end as we build this anchor together. You deserve a steady mind. If you are ready to begin, please type, "I control my response." I control my response. The first core pillar we must examine is the ancient concept of Prohairesis, often translated as the faculty of choice or our sovereign will. The Stoics believed that in a world where we can lose our health, our property, and even our reputation, the only thing that truly belongs to us is our ability to choose our own response. This is the foundation of what we call the Stoic Anchor Protocol. It is the understanding that while the wind may blow from any direction, you alone decide how to set your sails. For the mature person, this principle is the ultimate source of dignity. It means that your peace is not a gift given by others, but a fortress you build for yourself. However, applying this in our modern lives is often incredibly difficult, especially within the context of family. When we deal with strangers, it is easier to be patient, but with adult children, siblings, or long-term partners, we have decades of shared history. They know which buttons to push because they helped build the machine. We often feel that because we have invested so much love and time into these relationships, we are entitled to a certain level of respect or gratitude. When that respect is missing, we react instantly. We feel a sharp sting in our chest. Our blood pressure rises, and we find ourselves arguing about the same things we argued about 20 years ago. The modern world, with its instant text messages and social media, only makes this harder. A single dismissive sentence on a screen can reach into your home and ruin your entire morning before you have even finished your first cup of coffee. To understand how the Stoic Anchor Protocol works in these moments, consider a modern illustration. Let us imagine a woman named Margaret, who is 70 years old. Margaret spent weeks preparing for a family visit, making sure every detail was perfect. On the morning of the gathering, she receives a short message from her son saying they are too busy to come and will see her next month. No apology, just a brief note. Margaret's heart sinks. She feels a familiar wave of resentment and loneliness. Her immediate instinct is to type back a cold, hurt reply, reminding him of everything she has done for him. She feels like a victim of his thoughtlessness, but Margaret remembers the teachings of the Stoics. They taught that the words of others are merely external events, no different than a sudden rainstorm. Epictetus, who lived through the hardships of slavery before becoming a teacher, wrote this famous truth: men are disturbed not by things, but by the principles and notions which they form concerning things. He meant that the text message itself is just data on a screen. It has no power to hurt Margaret's soul. The pain Margaret feels is not coming from her son. It is coming from her own judgment that his behavior is an insult. When she realizes that her son's choice is outside of her control, but her reaction is entirely within it, she regains her power. She stops being a victim of a text message and starts being the master of her own mind. You can apply this same logic when you feel overthinking starting to take over your day. Perhaps you are replaying a disagreement from last Thanksgiving, or worrying about a relative who has stopped calling. In these moments, stop and ask, is this thought serving my character, or is it stealing my peace? Most of the time, we are suffering because we are trying to control the uncontrollable. We are trying to force others to be who we want them to be. The Stoic Anchor Protocol invites you to drop your anchor right where you are. You cannot change the past, and you cannot force a phone call, but you can choose to be the kind of person who remains steady even in the silence. This is especially helpful when dealing with the pain of betrayal or a deep family misunderstanding. If a loved one has treated you unfairly, it is natural to feel that your peace cannot return until they apologize. But waiting for an apology is like handing the keys to your house to the person who broke your windows. The Stoics believed that no one can hurt your character except yourself. If you remain virtuous, if you remain kind and steady, then you have won. You have kept your dignity. To practice this today, we recommend a very specific exercise called the 5-second bridge. It is simple, but it requires discipline. Step number 1. Whenever you receive a message, a comment, or a piece of news that upsets you, you must commit to doing nothing for exactly 5 seconds. Step number 2. During those 5 seconds, do not speak, do not type, and do not even formulate a mental argument. Simply breathe. Step number 3. Ask yourself one question. Is my peace of mind worth more than the satisfaction of being right or being angry? Step number 4. If the answer is yes, then choose the response that leaves you with the most dignity. Sometimes that response is silence. Other times it is a short, kind reply that does not invite further conflict. By practicing this 5-second bridge, you are physically building a gap between the world and your soul. You are proving to yourself that you are not a puppet being pulled by the strings of other people's moods. You are the pilot of your own ship. This practice is not about being cold or uncaring. It is about being so grounded in your own values that you can love your family without being destroyed by their imperfections. You are showing them and yourself what a life of true maturity looks like. As you go through your day-to-day, look for one opportunity to use this bridge. It might be a slow driver on the road, a dismissive clerk at the store, or a difficult conversation with a spouse. Each time you pause, your anchor sinks a little deeper into the seabed of your character. You are becoming a person who is not easily moved. You are finding a quiet strength that will serve as a legacy for those who watch you. In a world that is always shouting, your calm is the most powerful thing you can offer. Take a moment now to reflect on a recent situation where you lost your peace. Imagine how it would have felt to drop your anchor in that moment. It is never too late to start again. Every new breath is an opportunity to reclaim your sovereign will. You are the guardian of your own tranquility. And that is a job that no one can take from you. If you are committed to protecting your calm today, please join our community in the comments. Type, "I am the guardian of my calm. I am the guardian of my calm." Repeat this to yourself throughout the day. Let it be the phrase that brings you back when the waves start to rise. You are not alone in this journey. And your effort to find peace is the highest work a human being can do. We are here to walk this path with you. One steady breath at a time. The second core pillar of our journey involves a profound mental shift regarding our physical existence. What the Stoics referred to as the inner citadel. This principle suggests that while our bodies are subject to the laws of nature, aging, and illness, our character and our internal peace remain an unassailable fortress. The Stoics lived in a time when medicine was primitive and life was often cut short by plague or injury. They understood that to tie one's happiness to the strength of one's limbs or the clarity of one's eyesight was to build a house on shifting sand. Instead, they taught that the true self is not the flesh, but the ruling faculty within. This inner citadel is a place of absolute safety, a sanctuary where the spirit can remain upright and dignified even when the physical walls are crumbling. It is the realization that you are not your diagnosis, you are not your walking speed, and you are not the number of pills on your nightstand. You are the consciousness that observes these things with a steady and quiet courage. In our modern world, applying this principle is incredibly difficult because we live in a culture that worships youth and physical ability above all else. Everywhere we look, we are told that our value is tied to how we look, how fast we move, and how much we can produce. When we reach the years of maturity and begin to feel the inevitable decline of our physical strength, society often treats us as if we are becoming less relevant. This can lead to a deep sense of losing oneself. Many of us feel a profound grief when we can no longer do the things we once loved, such as gardening for hours, playing with grandchildren on the floor, or traveling without assistance. We begin to see our bodies as enemies that have betrayed us, rather than as vessels that have carried us through a long and meaningful life. This modern struggle often leaves us feeling invisible and powerless, as if our best days are behind us simply because our bodies are following the natural cycle of the seasons. To see how the inner citadel works in practice, let us consider a modern illustration. Let us imagine a man named Thomas, who is 68 years old. For most of his life, Thomas was an avid hiker and a man who took great pride in his physical independence. However, due to severe arthritis, he now finds that he must use a cane and can only walk short distances before needing to rest. One afternoon, Thomas is sitting on his porch, watching his younger neighbors head out for a brisk walk. He feels a sudden wave of bitterness. He feels as if his world is shrinking, and that he is losing the very thing that made him who he was. He feels like a burden when his family has to slow down for him, and he begins to pull away from social gatherings because he is embarrassed by his limitations. Thomas is at a crossroads. He can either spend his remaining years mourning the body he used to have, or he can learn to inhabit his inner citadel. If Thomas chooses the path of the Stoic, he looks to the example of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus was not just an emperor. He was a man who lived in a body that was often frail and racked with pain. He ruled a vast empire while suffering from chronic stomach issues and the constant threat of a deadly plague. Yet, he never allowed his physical condition to dictate his mental state. In his private journals, he wrote a passage that has served as a beacon for centuries. Be like the rocky headland on which the waves constantly break. It stands firm, and round it the seething waters sink to rest. Marcus Aurelius was reminding himself that the physical pains and the limitations of his body were like the waves of the sea. They might crash against him. They might spray him with foam. But they cannot move the rock. He understood that his ability to be kind, to be wise, and to be patient was entirely independent of his physical health. By viewing his pain as an external event, he remained the master of his inner world. This principle is especially vital to apply when you are facing a sudden diagnosis or a long-term illness. It is also a source of great strength when you find yourself in the role of a caregiver, watching a spouse or a parent struggle with their own health. In these moments, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the waves of medical appointments, the fear of the future, and the exhaustion of the present. The Stoic Anchor Protocol invites you to step inside your fortress. It asks you to remember that while you may not be able to fix the body, you can always choose the spirit with which you face the situation. You can be the rocky headland for your loved ones, showing them that peace is possible even in the midst of the storm. This is not about denying the reality of pain, but about refusing to let that pain define the quality of your soul. For those who struggle with overthinking their health, or who find themselves trapped in a cycle of regret about their aging, the inner citadel offers a way out. It reminds us that every stage of life has its own unique virtues. In our youth, we had the virtue of strength. In our maturity, we have the virtue of perspective and endurance. These are qualities that no amount of physical exercise can produce. They are built through the very hardships we are currently facing. When you feel the weight of your years, remember that your value has not decreased. It has merely shifted from the external to the internal. You are becoming a person of deeper substance. A person who can stand firm when others are washed away by minor inconveniences. To begin building your inner citadel today, we invite you to practice the exercise we call the inventory of can. This is designed to shift your focus away from what is lost and toward what remains sovereign. Step number 1. Set aside 10 minutes every morning. Perhaps while you are having your coffee or sitting in a quiet chair. Step number 2. On a piece of paper or in your mind. List 3 specific things that your mind and spirit can still do today. Regardless of how your body feels, these might include things like offering a word of encouragement to a neighbor, choosing to be patient with a difficult family member, or simply appreciating the beauty of the light coming through your window. Step number 3. For each item, say to yourself, "This is my power, and no illness can take it from me." Step number 4. Spend the final minutes of your practice visualizing yourself as that rocky headland, watching the waves of your physical discomfort break against you and then peacefully recede, leaving you unmoved and calm. By performing this inventory of can, you are training your brain to stop scanning for limitations and to start scanning for agency. You are reclaiming your status as a person of influence and dignity. You are proving that even if you move more slowly, your mind can still soar. This practice helps you stay grounded when you are at the doctor's office or when you are dealing with a difficult night of sleep. It turns your daily struggles into a form of spiritual training, a way to prove that your character is stronger than your circumstances. You are building a legacy of resilience that will inspire everyone who knows you. Remember that the inner citadel is not a place you visit once. It is a place you inhabit every single day. The more you return to it, the stronger its walls become. You are not a victim of time. You are a traveler who is gaining wisdom with every mile. Your spirit is a flame that does not depend on the candle for its light. Even as the candle burns down, the flame can burn more brightly and with more purity. You are a person of immense worth, and your presence in this world is a gift, regardless of your physical strength. If you are ready to stand firm against the waves today, we invite you to declare your intention. This small act of affirmation helps to set your mind for the day ahead. Please join your fellow travelers in the comments and type, "My spirit remains unshaken. My spirit remains unshaken." Let this be your anchor as you navigate the challenges of your day. We are walking this path with you, and we find strength in your courage. Be steady. Be kind to yourself. And remember that your fortress is always within you. The third core pillar of our journey is the practice of anchoring oneself firmly in the present moment. A discipline the Stoics believed was the only cure for a life weighed down by regret and overthinking. This principle suggests that time is our most precious resource. Yet it is the one we waste most recklessly by dwelling in places that no longer exist. To the Stoic mind, the past is a land where we have no citizenship, and the future is a land we have not yet reached. We only truly live in the thin, vibrating slice of time called now. Regret is often viewed as a debt we continue to pay for a mistake that has already been settled by the passage of years. By reclaiming our focus, we are not ignoring our history, but we are refusing to let the ghosts of yesterday haunt the house we live in today. For those in their later years, this is the ultimate act of reclaiming one's dignity. It is the realization that your value is not defined by what you did 20 years ago, but by the character you demonstrate in this very breath. In our modern lives, applying this present focus is exceptionally difficult because we often have more time for quiet reflection than we did in our younger, busier years. When we were raising families and building careers, the sheer noise of daily life kept us moving forward. But in the quiet of retirement or a more settled pace of life, the mind tends to wander backward. We find ourselves trapped in the cycle of late-night overthinking. We look back at our choices, our parenting, or our financial decisions through the lens of what we know now, which is deeply unfair to the person we were back then. Modern society does not give us many rituals to find closure, so we carry our burdens indefinitely. We feel that by replaying a mistake, We are somehow doing work to fix it. But in reality, we are only draining our energy for the life that is actually happening around us. This overthinking acts like a leak in our ship, slowly sinking our mood and our health while we are busy looking at the wake behind us. To understand how this anchor works, let us consider a modern illustration. Imagine a person named Sarah, who is 65 years old. It is 2 o'clock in the morning, and the house is perfectly still, but Sarah's mind is racing. She is replaying a conversation she had with her daughter nearly 15 years ago. A moment when she was tired and said something sharp that she deeply regrets. Even though her daughter has long since moved on, Sarah is still reliving the guilt as if the event happened this afternoon. She imagines all the different ways she could have handled it. She wonders if that one moment changed the course of their relationship forever. Sarah is physically in a comfortable bed, in the present, but her spirit is trapped in a kitchen from a decade and a half ago. She is suffering more from her memory than she ever did from the event itself. Sarah is letting a ghost steal her sleep and her peace. If Sarah chooses to use the Stoic Anchor Protocol, she turns to the wisdom of Seneca. Seneca was a man who knew the pain of loss and the uncertainty of the future. Having been exiled from his home and having lived through the volatile reign of a dangerous emperor, he understood that the mind is its own worst enemy when it comes to time. He wrote these powerful words to a friend: "Two things must be rooted out: the fear of future suffering and the memory of past suffering. The latter no longer concerns me, and the former does not yet concern me." Seneca was teaching us a form of radical mental hygiene. He believed that the memory of past suffering is no longer real in any physical sense. It only exists because we choose to invite it back. By recognizing that the past no longer has a concern with us, we can stop paying interest on old mistakes. We can look at our younger selves with the same compassion we would show a stranger, acknowledging that we did the best we could with the tools we had at the time. This principle is vital to apply when you are dealing with the pain of betrayal or a broken relationship. When someone has hurt us, we often overthink the situation, wondering why they did it or how we could have prevented it. The Stoic Anchor reminds you that their actions belong to the past and to their own character. Your only responsibility is how you handle your mind right now. It is also an essential tool for those who struggle with the what-if scenarios of life. What if I had taken that other job? What if we had never moved? The Stoic response is to realize that there is no other version of your life. There is only this one, and it is waiting for you to show up and live it. By releasing the need to fix the past, you gain the energy to bless the present. For those who find themselves overthinking their legacy or their status, the present focus offers a way to find immediate worth. You do not need a grand achievement to have a good life. A good life is simply a string of good moments lived with virtue. If you are kind to the person at the grocery store today, if you are patient with yourself as you learn a new skill, if you find beauty in a simple meal, you are living a stoic life. You are dropping your anchor in the only place where it can actually hold. You are proving that your peace is not a destination you will reach someday, but a practice you are engaging in right now to help you stop the cycle of overthinking and start living in the light of today. We invite you to use a practice called the Evening Review of Graces. This is a simple but powerful way to close the door on the day and find rest. Step number 1. 5 minutes before you plan to go to sleep, sit quietly and reflect on one mistake or one moment of overthinking you had today. Step number 2. Instead of judging yourself, say clearly, I forgive the person I was today. That person was doing their best. Step number 3. Now, identify one small thing you did right. It could be as simple as staying calm when you felt frustrated, or finishing a task you had been putting off. This is your virtue in action. Step number 4. Visualize yourself closing a heavy, beautiful book. The pages for today are finished, and they cannot be edited. Tomorrow is a blank page that has not yet been written. By performing this review, you are creating a mental boundary. You are teaching your mind that there is a time for reflection and a time for rest. You are training yourself to notice your wins, however small they may be. This practice helps to quiet the 2 a.m. thoughts, because you have already processed the day with intention. It gives you a sense of completion and dignity. You are no longer a victim of your memories. You are the editor of your own life story. You are choosing to focus on the grace of the present rather than the guilt of the past. As you move forward, remember that every sunset is an opportunity to let go of what you cannot change. You have carried your burdens for a long time, and it is okay to put them down now. Your peace is more important than your regrets. Your character at this moment is more important than your mistakes in the past. You are a person of value right now. In this very room, with this very breath. The past has no power over you unless you give it your attention. Take that attention back and place it on the beauty that is still available to you. If you are ready to stop looking backward and start living in the present, we invite you to share this commitment with our community. It is a way to tell your mind that you are serious about your peace. Please join us in the comments and type, I choose to live in the light of today. I choose to live in the light of today. Let this be your final thought before you sleep tonight. Let it be the first thought that greets you when you wake. You are not alone in your journey, and we are honored to walk this path of peace with you. Be gentle with yourself. Be steady, and keep your anchor in the now. We now arrive at a very special part of our journey, where we apply the Stoic Anchor Protocol to the specific, deeply personal challenges that many of you have shared in our community. These are the moments that test our spirit the most, such as the quiet ache of loneliness, or the sharp sting of betrayal from someone we have known for decades. The Stoics were not distant thinkers living in ivory towers. They were people who faced exile, the loss of their children, and the treachery of their closest friends. They developed these principles as a survival manual for the soul. Today, we look at how to use these anchors when the world feels empty, or when the people in it fail to treat us with the kindness we deserve. The first specific situation we must address is the feeling of being invisible or lonely. Especially as we move into the later chapters of our lives, the core principle here is the Stoic concept of cosmopolitanism. The idea that we are never truly alone because we are all citizens of the world, or what they called the great city of humanity. The Stoics believed that every human being is a vital thread in a massive, universal tapestry Even if you are sitting alone in your living room, you are still connected to the whole through your shared capacity for reason and virtue. Your value does not depend on how many people are calling your phone or how many social events are on your calendar. You have a permanent and honorable role as an observer of the universe, a witness to the beauty of existence. In the Stoic view, silence is not a sign of being forgotten. It is a sacred space where you can perform your highest duty, which is to live with dignity and to radiate calm into the world around you. In our modern era, this principle is incredibly difficult to maintain because we are constantly bombarded by images of a world that seems to be in a perpetual state of celebration. Through social media or television, we see people gathering, traveling, and laughing. And it is easy to feel that we have been left behind. Modern architecture and the breakdown of traditional neighborhoods have made physical isolation a reality for many. We often feel that if we are not producing something or participating in the noise, we are no longer relevant. For those who have lost a spouse or whose children have moved far away, the silence of a house can feel like a heavy weight. We begin to overthink our worth, wondering if we have become obsolete. We forget that our character is our greatest contribution, and that a single person remaining steady in their own home is a victory for all of humanity. To see how we can drop our anchor in the midst of loneliness, consider a modern illustration of a woman named Martha. Martha is 75 years old and lives alone in a quiet apartment. It is a rainy Tuesday afternoon, and she has not spoken to anyone for 3 days. She finds herself staring at the wall, feeling a deep sense of being unseen. She starts to think that her life no longer matters because she is no longer needed in the way she was when her children were young. She feels like a ghost in her own life. Martha's instinct is to turn on the television just to drown out the silence, or to sink into a mood of self-pity, but Martha decides to use the Stoic Anchor Protocol. She recalls the teachings of Epictetus, who was born into the isolation of slavery, but found a way to be a citizen of the entire world. Epictetus often taught that we should not seek to have events happen as we want them to, but instead, we should want them to happen as they do happen. And then we will find peace. He spoke of the universe as a grand play, where we do not choose our role, but we are responsible for playing our assigned role. Well, Martha realizes that her current role is to be the calm observer of this rainy afternoon. She understands that she is part of a great city that includes the trees outside, the people in the apartments next door, and the wisdom of the ages. She decides that her silence is not a void, but a laboratory for her own soul. By changing her perspective, she stops being a lonely woman and starts being a dignified elder who is at peace with the present moment. Whatever your faith or your background, you can find a bridge to this idea. You can see your solitude as a time of prayer, of reflection, or simply as a well-earned rest from the battles of your youth. You are not a cog in a machine that has been discarded. You are a pillar of the community. Even if that community does not see you today, your role as a calm observer is to hold the line of human decency in your own heart. If you can be kind to yourself in the silence, you are doing a great service to the world. To practice this anchor of connection today, We recommend an exercise called the silent service. Step number 1. Set a timer for 15 minutes during a time when you feel most alone. Step number 2. Instead of trying to escape the silence, sit with it and visualize a golden thread connecting you to every other person who is also seeking peace at this very moment. Step number 3. Perform one small act of outreach that requires nothing in return. This could be writing a short note of encouragement to a neighbor, or simply sending a silent wish of well-being to the person you see walking past your window. Step number 4. Say to yourself, I am a citizen of the world, and my presence has meaning. Spend the remaining time focusing on the fact that your worth is inherent, not social. The second situation we must address is the pain of betrayal or disappointment in a long-term relationship. The Stoic principle here is the acceptance of human nature. The Stoics believe that people act according to their own understanding of what is good, even if that understanding is deeply flawed or selfish. They taught that we should expect people to be human, which means expecting them to be inconsistent, ungrateful, or even cruel at times. This is not a cynical view. It is a protective one. By accepting that the behavior of others is an external event that we cannot control, we prevent their mistakes from becoming our misery. Your character is your own, and their failure to be virtuous does not require you to abandon your own virtue. This is exceptionally hard in our modern lives because we value loyalty and fairness so highly. When a friend of 40 years excludes us, or when a family member speaks ill of us behind our backs, it feels like a personal attack on our entire history. We feel that because we have been good, they owe us a certain kind of treatment. We spend hours replaying the betrayal, trying to make sense of it. This overthinking only deepens the wound. We feel that if we stop being angry, we are somehow saying that what they did was okay. But Stoicism teaches that being angry at a person for being selfish is like being angry at a thorn bush for having thorns. It is simply in their nature at that moment. Consider a modern illustration of a man named Robert. Robert recently discovered that a close friend had shared a private secret with others in their social circle. Robert feels a hot flash of anger and a deep sense of betrayal. He wants to confront the friend, to demand an explanation, and to tell everyone how untrustworthy this person is. He feels that his peace cannot return until justice is served. Robert is letting his friend's mistake dictate his emotional state. He is no longer the master of his own house. If Robert applies the Stoic anchor, he looks to the words of Marcus Aurelius. Every morning, the emperor would prepare his mind for the day ahead by saying, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous. And surely they are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. Marcus Aurelius was not being a pessimist. He was being surgical. He was reminding himself that if he encountered a dishonest person, it was a natural part of the world. He believed that he could not be harmed by these people because they could not force him to be dishonest or angry in return. Robert realizes that his friend's betrayal is a reflection of the friend's character, not Robert's value. He decides that while the friendship may be over, his tranquility does not have to be. This is a powerful tool to use when you are dealing with family rifts or the pain of broken trust. You can choose to see the other person's actions as a storm that has passed through your life. You do not have to like the storm, but you do not have to let it change who you are. You can remain the rocky headland we spoke of earlier. Your peace is your own property, and you are under no obligation to hand it over to someone who has proven they do not respect it. By remaining virtuous, you are proving that you are the more mature person. To practice the anchor of the character boundary today, we recommend the letter of release. Step number 1. Spend 10 minutes writing a letter to the person who has disappointed or betrayed you. Step number 2. In this letter, state exactly what happened and how it felt, but then conclude by writing, "This was your choice, and it belongs to your character. I release the need for you to be different from who you are." Step number 3. Do not send the letter. Instead, safely burn it or tear it into small pieces as a symbol of reclaiming your energy. Step number 4. Say to yourself, "Their actions do not define my worth, and I choose to remain steady." By practicing these specific anchors, you are building a truly independent life. You are finding a way to be at peace when you are alone, and a way to be dignified when you are mistreated. You are recognizing that your soul is a fortress that only you can protect. These challenges are not obstacles to your peace. They are the very ground upon which your peace is built. Every time you choose to remain calm in the face of loneliness or betrayal, you are becoming a more profound version of yourself. You are showing the world that a human being can stand in a storm and yet remain perfectly still. As you go through your week, remember that you are part of a community of people who are all practicing these same things. You are not alone in your struggle to be steady. We are all citizens of the world, together. When you feel the waves of loneliness or the sting of betrayal, remember to drop your anchor. Take your 3 breaths. Step into your inner citadel. Your peace is a gift you give to yourself, and it is the most valuable thing you own. If you have felt the weight of loneliness or the pain of betrayal recently, and you are ready to reclaim your peace, we invite you to stand with us. This simple act of declaration strengthens your resolve and helps others feel less invisible. Please join us in the comments and type, "Their actions do not define my worth." Their actions do not define my worth. Or, if you are embracing the silence, type, "I am part of a greater whole." I am part of a greater whole. We are listening, and we are walking this path of dignity with you. Stay steady. Stay kind. And remember that your anchor is always within your reach. The 6th and final phase of our journey is the implementation of a structured path, a 7-day commitment we call the Stoic Anchor Plan. The core principle behind this plan is what the ancient Stoics called ascese, which is often translated as disciplined practice or spiritual exercise. The Stoics believed that wisdom is not something you possess like a piece of jewelry. It is something you do, like a craft or a sport. They compared the mind to a muscle that must be trained every single day to remain strong. If you do not exercise your soul, it becomes flabby and reactive, easily pulled around by the winds of the world. But if you practice in the quiet moments, you will be ready when the storm eventually arrives. This 7-day plan is designed to help you move from being a listener to being a practitioner. It is a way to prove to yourself that your peace is not a lucky accident, but a deliberate creation of your own sovereign will. In our modern lives, applying a disciplined plan like this is exceptionally difficult because we are surrounded by the promise of quick fixes and instant results. We are told that we can change our lives by buying a product or following a 3-minute hack. But character is not built in 3 minutes. It is built in the thousands of tiny decisions we make between the time we wake up and the time we close our eyes. Modern life is also full of endless distractions that pull us away from our own intentions. We start the day to be calm, but by 10 in the morning, we have been hit by a stressful news report, a difficult email, or a minor household crisis. We feel discouraged because we think that if we are not perfect, we are failing. But the Stoics taught that the goal is not perfection. It is progress. The difficulty of modern life is not an obstacle to the plan. It is the very reason the plan exists. Every irritation is simply another opportunity to drop your anchor. To see how this 7-day plan looks in a real-life setting, let us consider a modern illustration. Imagine a man named Arthur, who is 62 years old and recently retired. Arthur finds that he spends a lot of his time worrying about his adult children and feeling frustrated by the state of the world. He decides to follow the Stoic Anchor plan for 1 week. On day number 1, Arthur does nothing but observe. He notices that his peace is stolen most often by the morning news, and by his daughter's habit of not returning his calls. He doesn't try to change anything yet. He just watches his own mind like a surveyor watching a landscape. By day number 3, Arthur is practicing the 5-second bridge. When his daughter finally calls and mentions she is too busy to visit, Arthur feels the old wave of resentment, but he stops for 5 seconds. He breathes. He chooses a kind, short response instead of a lecture. By day number 7, Arthur sits on his porch and realizes that while his children are still busy and the world is still chaotic, he feels different. He feels like he is no longer being swept away by every wave. He has built a quiet confidence that is entirely his own. Arthur's experience reflects the wisdom of Seneca, who was a statesman and a philosopher who understood that stability is the true mark of a healthy mind. Seneca wrote these words in his letters to his friend Lucilius. "It is a great thing to have a single mind, for no one can be happy if they are not stable." Seneca believed that the greatest suffering comes from a mind that is constantly shifting and reacting to external events. He taught that we must cultivate a sense of inner consistency. By following a structured plan, we are not trying to change the world. We are trying to create that single mind that Seneca spoke of. We are training ourselves to be the same person when things are going well as we are when things are going poorly. This stability is the ultimate goal of the Stoic Anchor Protocol. It is the peace that comes from knowing exactly where your anchor is dropped. This 7-day plan is a powerful tool to use when you feel that you have lost your way, or when you are overwhelmed by overthinking. It is also an excellent practice for those who are facing a significant life transition, such as retirement, the loss of a spouse, or a change in health. In these times, we often feel that the ground beneath us is shaking. The Stoic Anchor Plan gives you something solid to hold on to. It reminds you that you still have agency, even when everything else feels out of control. It turns your daily life into a form of training, where every challenge is simply a weight you are lifting to make your spirit stronger. By the end of the 7 days, you will have a set of tools that you can return to whenever you feel the waves rising. To begin your 7-day journey, we recommend following this specific structure. You may wish to listen to this section several times to memorize the path. Day number 1 and day number 2 are the days of observation. During these 48 hours, your only task is to notice your peace thieves. Step number 1. Carry a small notebook or use your phone to record every time you feel your mood shift toward anger, anxiety, or regret. Step number 2. Do not judge yourself and do not try to fix the situation. Simply label the trigger. For example, you might write, "Felt anxious after reading the news," or "Felt angry after a conversation with my brother." This practice builds the gap we discussed earlier. It moves you from being in the emotion to being the person who is watching the emotion. Day number 3 and day number 4 are the days of the 5-second bridge. Now that you know what your triggers are, you will practice your reaction. Step number 1. Every time a peace thief appears, you must commit to a 5-second pause before you speak or act. Step number 2. During this pause, visualize your anchor dropping into the calm water of your character. Step number 3. Choose the response that aligns with the person you want to be. Even if that response is simply silence, you are proving that you are the master of your own house. Day number 5 is the day of outward kindness. Often, overthinking and regret come from being too focused on our own internal struggles. Step number 1. Perform one deliberate act of kindness that requires nothing in return. This could be a phone call to check on a friend, a kind note to a neighbor, or a sincere compliment to a stranger. Step number 2. Notice how this shift in focus affects your own tranquility. The Stoics believed that since we are all part of the great city of humanity, helping another is actually a way of helping ourselves. It breaks the prison of the self and reminds us of our connection to others. Day number 6 is the day of the inventory of can. This is the day you reclaim your power over your physical or social limitations. Step number 1. Spend 15 minutes listing all the virtues you can still practice today. Can you be patient? Can you be wise? Can you be grateful? Step number 2. Focus your entire day on exercising these internal strengths. If your body is slow, let your patience be fast. If you are alone, let your gratitude be loud. You are inhabiting your inner citadel and realizing that your fortress is still standing. Day number 7 is the day of reflection and sovereign review. Step number 1. Sit quietly for 20 minutes and look back over your week. Step number 2. Identify at least 3 moments where you would have normally reacted with anger or sadness, but instead, you chose to use your anchor. Step number 3. Acknowledge the energy you saved and the dignity you maintained by not being swept away. Step number 4. Close the week by forgiving yourself for the times you failed and resolving to begin again tomorrow. By completing this 7-day plan, you have transformed philosophy from a set of ideas into a way of life. You have shown yourself that while the world is full of things you cannot control, you are the undisputed ruler of your own reactions. This practice builds a legacy of calm that will be felt by everyone in your life. You are becoming a person of deep substance, a person who is not easily moved. You are finding that quiet power that has been within you all along, just waiting for you to drop the anchor. As you conclude this journey, remember that the seventh day is not an end, but a new beginning. The Stoic path is a lifelong walk, and every day is day number 1. You do not have to be perfect to be a Stoic. You only have to be willing to keep beginning. Your effort is beautiful, and your progress is real. You are a guardian of your own calm, and you are part of a community that is walking right beside you. Be steady. Be gentle with your own progress, and keep your anchor deep in the sea of your character. If you are ready to start your 7-day journey today, we invite you to make this commitment public as a sign of your resolve. Please join us in the comments and type, "I am becoming the master of my mind. I am becoming the master of my mind." Let this be your guiding light for the week ahead. We are here with you, and we look forward to hearing about the peace you find along the way. Stay calm. Stay dignified. And remember that your strength is always within you. The final component of our journey together is the establishment of a daily rhythm, what we call the Stoic Anchor Protocol routine. The core principle of this routine is the belief that a well-lived life is simply a collection of well-lived days. The Stoics viewed each day as a miniature lifetime, with the morning representing a birth and the evening representing a quiet conclusion. They believed that the mind is most vulnerable in the moments just after waking and just before sleeping. Therefore, they developed a system of morning preparation and evening review to act as bookends for the soul. The morning is for putting on your armor, preparing yourself for the challenges of a world you cannot control. The evening is for taking off that armor, reviewing your actions with honesty and kindness, and finding the peace necessary for rest. This routine turns your daily life into a sacred practice, ensuring that your anchor is never forgotten in the business of the world. It is the practice of intentionality, where you decide who you are going to be before the world has a chance to tell you. In our modern era, applying a daily routine of this depth is incredibly difficult because we are conditioned to be reactive from the very moment we open our eyes. Most people reach for their phones as their first act of the day, immediately flooding their minds with the opinions of others, the tragedies of the news, and the demands of their inbox. This morning hijack ensures that our anchors are lifted before we even leave our beds. We spend the rest of the day drifting, tossed about by every notification and every headline. At night, the struggle is reversed. Instead of reviewing our day with stoic clarity, we often fall into a state of passive exhaustion. We distract ourselves with television or social media until we are too tired to think, yet the moment the lights go out, our minds begin to race with regret and overthinking. We have lost the art of the gentle audit. We lack a formal way to close the door on the day's troubles, which is why so many of us carry the weight of Tuesday into Wednesday and the weight of last year into next year. To see how the Stoic Anchor routine can transform a day, let us consider a modern illustration. Imagine a woman named Ellen, who is 68 years old. Ellen lives in a world that feels increasingly loud and demanding. She often wakes up feeling a sense of dread, worrying about her sister's declining health and her own mounting household chores. In the past, Ellen's morning routine was to turn on the news, which only deepened her anxiety. Her day was a series of reactions. She was frustrated by the traffic, hurt by a friend's lack of a return call, and exhausted by her own thoughts. By the time she went to bed, her mind was a whirlwind of everything that had gone wrong. She felt like a victim of her own life, but Ellen decides to implement the Stoic Anchor Protocol routine. Now, when she wakes up, the first thing she does is sit on the edge of her bed for 5 minutes. She does not reach for her phone. Instead, she prepares her mind. She tells herself that today she will encounter people who are difficult and unexpected situations. She reminds herself that these things are externals and cannot touch her character. This is her morning preparation. Throughout the day, whenever she feels her pulse rise, she remembers her morning intention. She drops her anchor. In the evening, before she sleeps, she sits in a quiet chair for 10 minutes. She reviews her day. She notices the moment she lost her patience at the grocery store, and instead of beating herself up, she simply says, "I will handle that better tomorrow." She identifies a moment where she was kind to a stranger and feels a quiet sense of virtue. She then releases the day. Closing the book on it entirely, Ellen finds that she is no longer drifting. She is the pilot of her own ship, and her days have regained a sense of dignity and order. Ellen's transformation is rooted in the specific wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who understood that the mind must be fortified before it encounters the world. He was the leader of a vast empire, yet he found the time to write these famous words to himself in the early morning hours. Say to yourself, in the early morning, I shall meet today ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, uncharitable men, all of the ignorance of real good and ill. I can neither be harmed by any of them, for no man will involve me in wrong, nor can I be angry with my kinsman or hate him. Marcus Aurelius was not being a cynic. He was performing a form of mental hygiene. He understood that by expecting the world to be difficult, he removed the power of the world to surprise him or upset him. He was setting his anchor in the seabed of his own character, so that when he encountered the ungrateful or the treacherous, he remained unmoved. He saw his morning routine as the foundation of his entire moral life. This routine is a powerful tool to apply when you are navigating the complexities of modern family relationships or the challenges of aging. It is also an essential practice for those who struggle with overthinking or a sense of being overwhelmed by life's small details. The morning preparation gives you a sense of agency, reminding you that while you cannot control the weather, you can always control your own sails. The evening review gives you the gift of closure, a way to ensure that your mistakes do not become your permanent identity. Whatever your faith or your life experience, you can find a deep sense of peace in these bookends of the soul. You are reclaiming the most important hours of your day and using them to build a more steady version of yourself. To establish your own Stoic Anchor routine today, we recommend a simple, 2-part practice that requires only 15 minutes in total Step number 1 is the morning preparation, which should take 10 minutes. Before you engage with any screens or any other people, sit in a quiet place. Close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths. Say to yourself, "Today, I will meet with events I cannot control and people who may be unkind. I will not let these things touch my soul, for I have my anchor." Then, identify one specific virtue you want to practice today, such as patience, or gratitude, or courage. Visualize yourself using that virtue in a situation you know will be challenging. You are putting on your armor. You are deciding, in the silence, that your peace is worth more than the world's chaos. Step number 2 is the evening release, which should take 5 minutes just before you lie down to sleep. Sit comfortably and look back over your day as if you were a kind but honest friend. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, where did I lose my anchor today? Second, why did I let that happen? Third, what one small thing did I do well? When you have finished, literally brush your hands together as a sign that the day is over. Say to yourself, "The day is done. I forgive the person I was today, and I will begin again tomorrow." You are closing the book. You are removing your armor. You are allowing yourself to find a rest that is deep and earned by following this S.A.P. routine. You are proving that you are a serious practitioner of your own peace. You are not just thinking about Stoicism. You are living it. You are training your mind to be steady, regardless of what the news says or what a family member does. This routine builds a sense of continuity and strength that will serve you through every season of your life. It turns the mundane acts of waking and sleeping into a grand ritual of character building. You are showing yourself that your time is valuable and that your tranquility is a priority. As we move toward the end of our discussion today, remember that the routine is not a chore. It is a gift. It is a way to say to yourself, "My peace matters. My character matters. My dignity matters." You do not have to be perfect at this routine. There will be mornings when you forget to prepare, and evenings when you are too tired to review. The Stoics would say that this is fine. Simply begin the next day, again. The beauty of the routine is in the returning. Every time you return to your morning intention or your evening release, your anchor sinks a little deeper. You are building a life of profound substance, one day at a time. If you are ready to reclaim your mornings and your evenings for the sake of your own peace, we invite you to commit to this routine with us. This act of naming your intent is a powerful way to begin the work. Please join our community in the comments and type, "I am the master of my own day. I am the master of my own day." Let this affirmation be your first anchor of the day ahead. We are honored to walk this path of steady rhythm with you. May your mornings be grounded in purpose, and may your evenings be full of grace. Be steady, be kind, and remember that your routine is the path to your freedom. As we reach the end of our time together, let us return to the image of the harbor pilot we spoke of at the beginning. The world outside has not changed. The winds are still blowing. The waves are still rising. And the people around you may still be difficult. But you are no longer the same ship. You have found your anchor. The ancient Stoics believed that true freedom is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of a steady mind in the midst of it. Stoicism is not about being cold or unfeeling. It is about being so full of internal peace that the storms of life simply cannot wash you away. Your character is your only true home, and your tranquility is your highest achievement. To turn these words into reality, we encourage you to follow the 7-day plan we have shared. Start with a simple observation tomorrow morning. Practice the evening review tonight. These small, quiet acts are how you build the fortress of your soul. A good life is not something you find, it is something you practice, one decision at a time. We would love to hear about your journey. What is one small commitment you will make to your own peace today? Perhaps it is taking 3 breaths before you answer a text message. Or perhaps it is forgiving yourself for a mistake you made years ago. Please share your small commitment in the comments. By doing so, you remind everyone in this community that they are not alone in their struggle to be steady. If these reflections have brought you a sense of calm, we invite you to join our community. Please consider liking this video and subscribing for more steady wisdom. Sharing this with a friend or a loved one is a wonderful way to offer them a bit of quiet in a loud world. Before we part, let us settle on one final truth. Your peace is your power. It is the one thing no one can take from you unless you hand it over. Please join us in the comments and type, "My peace is my power. My peace is my power." These ideas are shared for reflection and personal growth, and they are not a substitute for professional mental health support. If you are going through something heavy, please reach out to someone you trust or a qualified professional. Whatever your faith or your background, we hope these Stoic principles provide a bridge to your own inner strength. Thank you for spending this time with us. Be steady, be kind to yourself, and keep your anchor deep in the sea of your character. Walk in peace.